Suffocate.
How are we doing?
How are you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, we just got done. We're late because we were doing this this mentorship with Align and Aaron Campman, and we feel really good. We're a little bit of emotional on there, getting to know your teammates a lot better. And overall, I think in general, I feel really good. This is my first time since I've been at Iowa where I'm able to participate in every, training phase, every activity, every drill. And, so far, I'm a little bit more sore than I usually am, but so far my body's handled it very well.
So you're 100% right now?
Yep, I'm 100%, and I've been 100% for probably, at least over a month now. So.
How are you mentally with the injury situation? You always hear about how tough it is to get past it mentally.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of past the really hardest part. I think, when they talk about the mental difficulty in terms of an ACL injury, it's kind of just developing that trust again. And right now, I think, through really just a lot of the rehab and a lot of the stuff that we've been working on with cutting and everything and the change of direction, that I've been able to develop that level of trust. And it's something that comes along, as time goes by, but also I feel like things are coming a lot more naturally than I think maybe some other people do, just because I was able to get through the rehab process a lot faster. And at the end of the day, I was cleared with I think it was 8 months after surgery. So really just these last couple months have just been really just working on that part.
What would you say from when you got hurt against Michigan State, this whole process, what's been the most difficult part of it?
To be honest, it's been psychological. It's been dealing with, really just kind of battling with myself, maybe why has this happened again, or what led to this injury. But I think really it's just been I've had a lot of spiritual growth in the last, few months, and also just kind of, it's given me a new perspective on life in a lot of different areas of it. And, to be honest, I'm very thankful for, what has transpired in the last few months. And I think this year is going to be, just a really life-changing, year for me.
Mason told us that you're putting on some more mass to try and, limit the injuries a little bit. Could you just talk about that process for yourself?
Yeah, I actually got up to the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life. Going into the winter phase, I got up to 225 at one point, and I'd never seen that before. And really, Coach Ray and the staff, we really worked on building some lean muscle mass, and really just kind of ever since then, I've just been trimming, because I got to that number, and then I've been nothing but losing weight and just really trying to make it as lean but also as dense as I possibly can. So right now I'm probably sitting in the mid 200s to 210. That's usually where last year I went into the season, I was probably on game day maybe 198, 199. So I'm going to be heavier this year, but I definitely do feel more sturdy, especially in my upper body and my upper legs as well.
Have you noticed a difference in your throwing power a little bit?
Yeah, so actually what's really cool about, that in comparison to 2 years ago, is that this rehab I was actually to throw a lot more. So I feel like I'm a lot farther ahead in terms of where my arm is at, my accuracy and everything is than where I was this time last year. So with that being said, I've been able to work with my quarterback coach and work with, Coach Lester, the receivers and everything. And I've kind of changed some things mechanically, becoming a little bit more rotational, using the ground, and really using the muscles that I've been able to develop through the rehab process to activate those in my throwing motion. And my strength overall has gone up a lot more. So now it's just kind of about, I don't really necessarily need to use my 100% of my arm strength all the time. And I think really, since we've been throwing with the wide receivers a lot, just working on my touch and everything, since I have that kind of new gear in my throwing motion.
How about you coming off your plant leg? Because a lot of times that's something that, quarterbacks with ACL, that they get a little timid in the way they step and everything like that. How have you kind of worked through that so that it doesn't have there's not a fear factor there?
Yeah, well, I've been recommended to wear the brace, so I'm probably going to wear the brace for the season. I don't need the brace. When I'm out here conditioning, when I'm cutting and everything, I'm not using the brace at all, honestly. I think it's just more of just because it is my plant leg, that it's just going to be in and around where the line is going to be at all the time. So to be honest, I don't really care if I wear the brace or not, but That's just been what's recommended to me. So as far as like my level of like timidness or whatever, I think at the beginning when I was just starting to get back into throwing, it was tough because I was like, as I'm transferring my weight to my front side and then you have to rotate on it, I was just kind of timid to put all my weight and fully transition into it. But now that I've really just put a lot of reps into it and I know I have the strength and the flexibility to do everything now, really just because of the way my mechanics are working out, I don't need to rely on really using my front leg as much as more as just using my core to rotate. So I'm not timid at all when it comes to throwing or anything like that. I'm well past that.
Cade, I know you said you're grateful for these last few months.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that comes from a place of being able to maybe step back and learn the offense more or less from the sidelines, but also just because of where you're at mentally now? Like, where does that gratitude kind of come from for you?
Really, honestly, I think it comes a lot from I've had a lot of new people enter my life, and really also recognizing, we actually were just talking about is your phone goes pretty dead when you're injured, I mean, there ain't a lot of notifications or stuff going on, and, the people who are in your corner, that's when those are the people you can trust. And for me, to be honest, that group has grown for me even in a time of, struggle for me. So I think, I have a lot of gratitude towards the people that, have helped me get through this process, while also really just honestly like my relationship with God and just leaning on Him. And it's been quite the journey.
Can you talk about your relationship with Tim Lester and how you've built that since he's arrived?
Yeah, I mean, me and Coach Lester have done nothing but honestly just hit it off. I mean, he's just such a good dude. Sometimes I gotta check the clock before I walk into his office because I might walk out 3 hours later. He's just a really good dude, and honestly, like, we've been able to share a lot of offensive philosophy together, and I can tell that he really cares about the players and and our perspective on the offense and how we think we can make it better, whether it's changing a route depth or changing a concept or a completely new concept. And I think like that part of our offense now is what's really cool, because we're starting from scratch. Nothing's the same. So I think us using kind of everything, all of our experience and perspectives, and Coach Lester being nothing but open and honest with us, and really pushing us to. I think the biggest thing has been a mental push with us. Is he's forcing everyone to learn as much as we possibly can in this short amount of time. That way, when it comes time for season, we can fine-tune some things and make things more game-specific.
I think it wasn't too long after you got hurt that you put out an Instagram post basically like saying, you're going to come back stronger. And you didn't have to put that out necessarily, like saying you're definitely coming back to Iowa. Just why was that important for you that you wanted to do that?
Well, I felt like at some point I needed to address what happened, but I think also, I kind of like going through my daily life, people were questioning whether I would come back to Iowa or if I'd like transfer for some reason. So I felt the need that, if people think that, not that necessarily matters, because I knew exactly what I was going to do, and my teammates never questioned my commitment, but I just wanted to make sure that, going into the next season, for the guys who are considering going to the NFL and for the guys who are considering, maybe if they're considering transferring or whatever, that, hey, that's definitely, if they ever thought that maybe I would do that, that's definitely the last thing on my mind, that, there was never a time where I questioned if I was the right place for me.
When you look at last year, the defense was as good as any in the country, and through the course of the year, what was kind of going through your mind watching your friends, teammates struggle on offense, and knowing if you were there, maybe you make a difference, maybe not only a win against your former school, but just the way the offense was playing? What was kind of going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, it's tough because as a competitor and, as, the quarterback, you are well aware of, what kind of impact, that you can have on a team, or, in general, just just sitting on the sidelines, there's nothing you can do about it. At some point, you, as a leader, as a player, you have to go out there and do it, and, I think staying on the sidelines this year was really tough for me because, it's just tough for all kinds of reasons. And of course, I wish I was out there, with my boys, but I think really just the focus has just been, you know, during that time it was difficult watching games because I was more nervous for games that I wasn't playing in than when I actually play, which is like a weird sensation. But I think just the real thing is like, you know, just always like I was just constantly thinking about, you know, what can we do positively, like what can I do to help the team in a positive way, you know, even when stuff isn't going very well, you know, like how can I make, you know, the situation better, or how can I help out, you know, whoever's in, or, you know, this receiver on that to make it a job easier for someone else. And I think, you know, that's kind of just what you have to do when you're hurt.
What's the dynamic like between you and Brendan?
It's been good. I mean, I think kind of with all the new guys that we've added, it's been nothing but great. I mean, Sully, Jacob, I mean, we have not as many new guys, but because we have so many guys returning, but you know, I think it's been good, and I think, you know, everyone so far is, in terms of freshmen, in terms of transfers, I think everyone's pretty committed to, you know, what we got going on here and, you know, the vision we have for the season. And, you know, just, you know, this is, you know, Iowa, like here, we have a really tough strength and conditioning program. I think everyone so far has handled it really well, and yeah, they're good additions.
Do you welcome that increased competition now that you've got another guy who's started Big Ten games before?
Can you repeat that?
Like, how do you kind of approach the competition of having another guy who's started Big Ten games before in the quarterback room?
Like them just adding another guy?
Yeah.
I mean, we got down to like 2 quarterbacks in our quarterback room, so they got to add someone eventually, you know? I mean, so, you know, whoever they brought in, you know, that's awesome. But I mean, at some point, you know, there has to be depth there. Like, you can't just go out there with, I mean, even the NFL has more than 2 guys, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, anywhere that we need depth and, you know, any kind of level of competition is good.
What's some positives that Brendan's brought to the QB room since he's gotten here?
I mean, I think just so far, Sully's been, you know, he's just been a really good dude. I mean, every time, like, you know, when I, you know, say like, hey, look, you know, like, let's go throw, like, let's go get some routes or something, like after a lift or something, he's always there. He just seems very committed, and I think, you know, a lot of the guys appreciate that.
It goes without saying that obviously the last 2 seasons you've dealt with major adversity. What gives you the belief that like you're still that guy on the field, that you can still perform at that really high level?
Oh, that I don't doubt that one bit. Every time, you know, whether we go out there in 7-on-7 or we do any kind of level of team, I prove to myself, and I honestly think I prove to my teammates every single time I grab a football that I still got it. And I know that it deep down in me, and I know, and that's not going to leave.
Okay.